Thanks for tuning in to another episode of From Funding to Fame, where we interview the founders and funders currently raising capital on FrontFundr, as well as experts in the private capital markets. I'm your host, Trieste Redding, the head of campaigns at FrontFundr, and I'm excited to introduce more Canadians to equity crowdfunding. This podcast episode features conversations about a business's current operations and future plans, and as a result may contain forward-looking information. There can be no assurance that forward-looking information will prove to be accurate, as actual results and future events could differ materially from those anticipated in such statements. Listeners should not place undue reliance on forward-looking information. Today we are here with the co-founders of Sheringham Distillery, CEO Alayne MacIsaac and Chief Distilling Officer Jason MacIsaac. Sheringham Distillery is an award-winning Vancouver Island-based distillery known for producing premium spirits that reflect the coastal environment of British Columbia. Sheringham's chef-driven approach to distillation ensures continuous innovation and the creation of unique, high-quality spirits. Since launching in 2015, Sheringham Distillery has been on a mission to make the world's most drinkable gin. Here's some highlights. Sheringham has been recognized with over 20 prestigious awards, including the World's Best Contemporary Gin Award for their Seaside Gin in 2019. Sheringham's new state-of-the-art distillery can produce 2 million bottles annually to support their expansion across Canada and in the US, where they've launched in 9 key states. They are also the proud partner of the NHL's Seattle Kraken. They have a strong commitment to sustainability as a BC Green business, and their Surfrider approved Biosphere and Climate Pledge committed, and they are also working towards their B Corp certification. And the US gin market is expected to reach $107 billion USD by 2029, driven by the craft spirits movement and a strong customer trend towards premium and locally produced beverages. All right. Hi, Alayne, Jason. Thanks so much for being here today. Welcome to From Funding to Fame. How are you both doing?
Doing awesome. Thank you, Trieste.
Good, thanks.
Thanks for having
us today.
Absolutely. Very excited to learn more about you both and about Sheringham Distillery. So perhaps to kick things off, you can each introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your careers have looked like so far.
Yeah, previous to Sheringham, I did sales and business for many years. And I always wanted to have a business that could really grow almost endlessly. So when Jason, it was his idea for the distillery, and I jumped on it, and I'm like, let's do this. Let's just keep going and going and going. So it's been a really cool journey.
Yeah, and I'm Jason MacIsaac, and my background is culinary. So I cooked professionally for over 23 years before distillation, and I've always had a really close relation with food and drink and a passion for it. So the shift to distillation seemed natural and very exciting. And yeah, I'm very happy about it.
That's fantastic. I appreciate you sharing a little bit more about that journey. And as Alayne mentioned, I guess, Jason, it was your idea for the distillery. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what kind of that moment of inspiration or aha moment where you were like, hey, let's try a distillery.
Yeah, well, my background is culinary, like I said, and Alayne's is business and sales. So we made a decision to stop what we were doing currently, come together and start this distillery, which was very exciting for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey in the beginning. You know, both of us were sort of the bosses of our own business, businesses, and so coming together. But yeah, it took us about 1.5 years, but we really learned we're just so much stronger together. And so it's been really cool, like Jason bringing his side to the operations and the production and the botanicals, and sort of like culinary, aspect of everything. And then, me sort of, doing the sales business and really growing the business. Yeah, it's a cool partnership.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You guys are definitely a great team. Maybe you can give us just a quick overview of Sheringham Distillery and tell us a little bit about what the early days were like getting the distillery off the ground.
Sure.
They were hilarious.
Yeah. A lot of learning, a lot of learning curves.
Yeah. Jason and I started the distillery, just really bootstrapped it. It was just Jay and I, and financially all in, all day, every day, long days of distilling, both of us hitting the streets, doing all sales events, tasting room stuff, lots of, we had funny stories about bears, just different things where our first little tiny distillery was. But we really started out with baby steps, and we've come a long way.
Yeah, and one thing that I had to do on the distillation side and creating flavor profiles was really dive into learning spirits, not just the distillation, but creating flavor profiles. So I tasted through several different spirits, a lot of different gins, and kind of cataloged all the different characteristics, ones I liked and did not like, and flavor profiles, just like a chef does with food flavor so they can create a dish. So I cataloged all these flavor profiles with spirits so I could create flavor profiles for spirits.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice seeing your culinary background kind of come together with the product there, and I know that's really something that sets you guys apart on the market as well as those flavor profiles. So yeah, what was it like once you kind of discovered what you wanted to put out in terms of the market for flavors? How did you guys go about finding those first few customers?
Oh boy. We hit the streets. I mean, we knocked on doors.
Oh yeah.
We restaurants, liquor stores, cocktail lounges, pubs, any kind of farmers market, any event we said yes to, anything where we could get in front of people and talk about what we were doing and get people to taste what we were making. We just said yes and did everything we could.
Yeah. Which is truthfully still what we do. We just have, a team,
Yeah.
It's not just Jay and I.
Mm-hmm.
True entrepreneurs there doing whatever it takes to get product in hands of consumers. That's amazing. I know you've highlighted the fact that you're committed to creating high quality, sustainable products. You use local ingredients as well. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what it is that sets your products apart from what else is on the market.
I always go back to just truly Jason's ability. Like, I mean, when he was a chef, his talent was well known, and he's brought in that same talent to be able to, seemingly effortlessly, but there's so much that goes into putting just such a beautiful dish together. And it's the same when it comes to gins or, or aromatic spirits. And Jason really does such a great job of, we'll come up with the creation of like, okay, well, with our seaside gin, we really wanted it to represent like you to get that real like interpretation of that rugged like West Coast experience in that bottle. Then when we're talking about the beacon, we wanted it to be a little bit more refined, really like, cherry blossoms and different things. And then our raincoast really wanting it to be just really representative of, of the raincoast. But so each of our gins, you can tell they're Sheringham, you can tell they're in the same family, but they're all so different and they each tell a story with each of them being so approachable, which I think is incredible, that you can have something so different, but yet will work in almost every cocktail.
It's amazing. Jason, anything to add on that?
I don't know. Alayne says a lot of very nice things. But yeah, I guess our authentic style and the things that I did learn as a chef that translate very easily to distillation and a lot of the things that Alayne had just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything, all this, stories or inspiration for the spirits, for the gins, etc. Everything truly came from, like the authentic part of Jason and I, It wasn't like, oh, we're going to pay a marketing firm $500,000 to come up with this like brand. So I think that also really like when the consumer or like a bartender or somebody like starts to realize that, gets to learn about it too. It's so cool. And it's like the peeling back an onion. There's just so many things to learn and to talk about, like, even just where the Sheringham font for our brand came from, came from like it's the scriptive typewriter that was found in the woods near, our original distillery, like there's just so many cool things.
Yeah. And a real a real sense of us and like an authentic feel of place and where we're from and where we love.
Yeah.
I love that. Building an authentic brand is so important. And I like that you touched on briefly the branding as well. I think the product packaging and design is really unique. It's really great, and certainly the brand is something that definitely I think does set you guys apart on the market. So I guess when crafting not only the different flavor profiles for the product, how did the brand kind of come into that conversation in the early days as well, as you were really looking to create something unique there?
Yeah, well, we both really wanted it to present as timeless, slightly nautical, classic, and so those are the words that sort of like kept presenting themselves when we were looking at it. Um, and so we worked with a really talented graphic designer in the beginning, and as a team, we were able to really come up with something that we really truly do think that it stands the test of time, and that it really does speak to people.
Yeah, and back to sense of place. Sheringham Point and Sheringham Lighthouse was in the direct vicinity of the original location
Yeah, just down
of the distillery, just down the street. Yeah.
That's amazing. I always like to ask this question. I feel like it's a bit of a tough one to answer. You guys have an award-winning product lineup, but do you have a favorite?
Oh, seaside all day, every day. That's
Yeah.
not. I know it's like choosing, who's your favorite child, but for me, seaside. Yeah.
Mine moves around a little bit depending on, I don't know what, it just kind of shifts around, but Rain Coast is one of our newest expressions in the aromatic products that we have, and I think it is my favorite right now.
It is crouching up. It's a real close second for me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I know we've talked about the fact that the gin market is pretty significant in North America. It's growing quite quickly. You guys are already in market in Canada and 9 states in the U.S. So would love to hear a little bit more about the market opportunity that exists for Sheringham Distillery.
Yeah, honestly, it is huge. Separating Canada and US just because it's totally different models. We are in BC, we're, top 5 gin. There's still growth, to have in BC, even though, we're so well known. So we're rolling out a plan for that, in 2025, just to get to the next level in BC as we do each year. Alberta, there's growth, but really the biggest growth is in Ontario and Quebec. So it's a long game though, the LCBO, they're government-run provinces, but we have had such success in our, short-term tenders. We've had 2 so far at the LCBO, and we've been the top selling, gin in both of those tenders. So on the shelf during those time periods. So we're going to be on the shelves this spring again at the LCBO in Ontario, which is amazing. And we're just waiting to find out whether it will be one more seasonal before we get our general list, or if it'll go into a general list. So we're very, very close. It is a long game. And then once, you can get Ontario on board, then, Quebec is easier as well. So, but the US is so exciting. I mean, so Canada, obviously, but we've already been in Canada, so much longer, obviously. But so the US, so our phase 1 is done, and we've had success, and so we know the opportunity in the US. So our, as we always talk about our phase 2 is what we're doing our funding for. Going into more states in the US, as well as really focusing on more penetration and more sell-through and more consumer awareness in the states that we've focused on currently.
It's great. I appreciate you sharing more of the plan there and what those expansion phases look like. For investors who are listening today, is it possible to outline more of the products and services and provide maybe an overview on how the company makes money?
By making and selling spirits predominantly. I mean, we've talked a lot about Sheringham, and but one thing that we haven't really talked about so much so far or here is Lumet, our non-alcoholic spirit line, and then our bitters line that we are actually currently just launching. So the non-alcoholic beverage market is huge, and we have really, really delicious non-alcoholic spirits. So it enables people to, like if I go to a restaurant and I'm driving, or, if I just don't want to drink, I can still have that experience. So I can have a gimlet or a sour, or, any sort of gin cocktail, or like a daiquiri with rum, because we also have non-alcoholic rum, and you just feel like you're really having that alcohol experience without the actual alcohol. So Lumet's been doing really well. Sheringham just took it over this year, so it's a really exciting addition to the Sheringham lineup, and we'll be able to really push Lumet through Sheringham distribution channels, into the US, and move forward with it. So that's a really, really exciting product that we've added this year. And then our bitters, I mean, they're delicious. So we we'll be putting restaurants for cocktails, specialty stores, that kind of thing.
That's fantastic. In terms of distribution channels and stuff, you mentioned kind of some listings. Are consumers able to buy the product D2C? Do you guys have a showroom that they can go to try the product as well? How can people get product in their hands, I guess?
Awesome. Well, go to your local favorite liquor store, and if they don't have it, ask them to bring it in. But yeah, if you're in and around our area, we do have a tasting room that's open 11 to 5. And we do direct to consumer in BC as well. We do have a direct to consumer option for the US.
Fantastic. Talking a little bit about the company's traction, I know we mentioned earlier you are an award-winning distillery. You've got some amazing products. You're also the official partner of the NHL's Seattle Kraken, which is incredible. So maybe you can share a little bit more about the company's traction to date and what some future plans are for continued growth.
Totally. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit here. Sorry, I sort of answered this question a few minutes ago, but yeah, we've seen incredible success in Canada, and in in the pockets that we focused on, in phase one, this year and a bit of last year in the US, we've seen success like in Washington. We're Winebow's our distributor, and we're like one of the top gins in Washington, so and we focused on pockets of California where we're seeing that traction. So it's going to be very, very cool to roll out what's worked, throughout, more throughout the states that we're in, as well as utilize that in the new states we're going into, and just keep building on it.
Fantastic. Can you maybe share a little bit too about the awards you guys have won so far?
Yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky to have won numerous awards, but
yeah, several top level awards in Canada and
the US.
And the US. But the one that it's really was quite a moment was when we won the World Gin Award in London for the world's best contemporary gin in 2019. I mean, it was a really special moment, and it really echoed to, loud to us, but also to people that already supported New Sheringham and the Seaside Gin, to our community. They were like, yes, we knew it. We knew this the whole time, and we felt lifted on the shoulders of everyone, and it was just really fantastic validation that we were operating at a world-class level of product.
Yeah, and when we asked, we were up against huge gins, and the contemporary gin category is the biggest gin category, and so we were up against, hundreds of submissions. And so we asked, like, why Seaside? And so, what the judges reported on is that, obviously it's rigorous, it's all blind tasting, and it's rigorous and tasting, but they kept going back to Seaside, to almost to like cleanse their palates, to get that freshness, to get that, and they just kept being drawn back to it. So that was very, very cool to hear that Seaside just made, such an impact.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's an incredible story, and such just a great stamp of approval to have that, and to beat out that many gin companies. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, turning the focus a little bit to you both and kind of your leadership styles, leadership plays such a pivotal role in a company's growth and success, especially in the early days. So maybe you can share a little bit on your philosophy of leadership and how you bring a sense of inspiration and motivation to your team.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is just being us and who we are, I mean, and I think partly our staff sees how hard we've worked and we still are currently working, so it's just as a team and Jason and I get in there, we're not just sitting in our offices. I mean, of course, there's work to do to push a business forward, but we really feel like, it's a family and we want people to bring the good ideas and we want people to, sort of be the master of their own domain, and we'll be there to like help lift and support. But we're just all a team moving this business forward. And accountability, like Jason and I hold ourselves accountable, all the time, and so I think it only helps our team hold themselves accountable and,
Yeah.
and we just have a really, really great team, great vibe. And we all just, we work hard and we come together and we make shit happen.
Love it. Jason, anything to add?
I think Alayne said it all there. That's
I'm here, sorry. We make stuff happen.
No, that's amazing. I will say, in my experience working with you guys on your capital raise as well, it's nice to see how involved everyone on the team is. And to your point, I think you can definitely see they're all kind of experts in their domain, and they're bringing that to the table each and every day, which is fantastic. So definitely think you guys have done a wonderful job, kind of building that team and putting those key team members in place for sure.
Thank you.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question already, but I always like to ask if there was a defining moment in kind of the company's journey so far where everything seemed to change, or perhaps a favorite moment. And I feel like there was just so much emotion around the London and winning the award, which is amazing. But I guess, are there any other moments in the company's journey that have really stood out to you both?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the award, yes, but it's when we did our first expansion to soup, but more so when we built out this facility that we're in now. So we've been in this facility now for a year and a half, but we built this facility. It's, state of the art. It can do, up to 2 million bottles, if not more, so we built this to be able to scale. So that was such a pivotal point, such a part of our, moving forward expansion plan, to be able to know that, we can be in place, and not have to move, and that we have the ability to scale, we don't ever have to put the brakes on. It's, and so anyway, so that was very, very cool. And honestly, this fundraising this fall has been another really, really cool moment for me, just seeing the support. I mean, before we haven't even gone live yet, and we've oversubscribed. So just the support has been just so cool. And the fact that we're going for more than our original just means that we'll be able to just put even more energy and power into next year and beyond. So
That's fantastic. What about you, Jason?
Well, I think that like the World Gin Award was a pretty substantial one, but I think a lot of small achievements and large achievements, goals we've met, and just things we've created along the way. For me, it's like the sum of all these things done well and done together, and that has really been like amounts to the one sum.
Yeah, that is a good point. Jay and I have to remind ourselves to sort of step outside everything that's happening sometimes, and then when we look from the outside in, we're like, holy crap, like we are doing it, like
Yeah.
But sometimes day to day, like it's easy to just sort of get caught up in oh, this has to whatever. But it's important to sort of step outside and take it from an outsider's point of view and be like, yeah, this is very cool.
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't really, take the time to celebrate those small wins. And then when you do step outside for a second, take a look back, you get that sense of, wow, we've come so far, we've accomplished so much, which is an amazing feeling for sure.
That's when we cheers with a cold shot of akavit out of the freezer.
Absolutely. Now, life as an entrepreneur and a business leader is always busy. You guys have touched on, how much work you've done in the early days and continue to do and all the hats that you wear. So when you're not working, what do you love to do?
Well, Jay and I love eating and drinking, so we certainly like to go out to, just have a date night out and have some great food and great drinks. Hiking, just spending time outdoors, cooking.
Outdoors, family time.
Yeah, family time. We have a daughter.
Cooking, we do a lot of cooking together.
We do a lot of cooking together. Sometimes that is me sitting on, a stool on the island, having a cocktail, supporting him cooking. And sometimes it actually is us cooking together. But yeah, we just like to be in the kitchen together. Let's put it like that.
Can only imagine how good those meals are with Jason's culinary background. That would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, he can get our daughter to eat almost anything because he just cooks it so well. Whereas, I sort of stick to the staples, but that's cool. I like cooking too.
Your daughter's going to have quite the palate as she grows up, for sure.
100%.
Yeah. Now, Alayne, I know you touched on a little bit just the capital raise so far and kind of what that process has been like, the traction that you guys have had, which has been incredible. So would love to hear a little bit more about what your experience has been raising capital so far, and maybe you could tell us about your goals with this round of community capital on FrontFundr.
Yeah, well, we did do a little bit of funding 2.5 years ago, which went well and set us up for, everything that we did over the last 2.5 years. And then, yeah, this fundraising this fall has been going incredibly well. And yeah, we'd like to, ideally, now that we've already oversubscribed, take it a little bit further and just be even more, as I said, set up for next year. And it really is predominantly going to just expansion in the US for Sheringham, but also part of it going towards the expansion efforts of the Lumet and non-alcoholic as well.
That's great. Now, community capital or equity crowdfunding as a funding method is still new to a lot of people. What was the driver behind picking this method of funding where you could really involve more of the community in the fundraise as well?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, we've had multiple times over the years that we've had people be like, "Oh, I'd love to like invest if you need," but it just wasn't the right time or whatever. And we really love our community, so we thought, why not put it out? This is a way where somebody can do $500 or $50,000, and truly own a piece of Sheringham. And so yeah. And one of our goals going into this is to be 4% community owned. And we love the idea of, teaming with our, supporters already, and then just having all of these ambassadors out there. So it's a win-win.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think definitely the impact of bringing on investors who really do become advocates and ambassadors of the brand moving forward is great. And when you think about it, becoming a co-owner in the company, why would you ever buy another gin brand again, right? Like you're really going to support that company moving forward, and you're going to tell all your friends and family about it. So it can be a great driver not only of investment but of future sales and continued growth as well, which I think is so great for businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, we have really good gyms to choose from, so it's an easy choice for people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, just as we look to wrap things up today, always love to ask founders if there's just been either maybe a quote or a piece of advice that you've received that's really guided you on your entrepreneurial journey so far.
Well, I have two. They're both kind of the same. One is more PG than the other, but it's always kind of a joke, but it really it always has sort of resonated with me. Like if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. But the non-PG version of that is Anthony Bourdain was well known for, fuck your comfort zone. So, that's you cannot do what we've achieved living in your comfort zone. And, entrepreneurs need to be able to like fuck their comfort zone or else you're not going to grow, So, and Anthony Bourdain just with, the chef background of, and stuff. So I actually have, it's in my office. I have that on my wall. And it reminds me, times, sometimes they're tough. That's business.
Yeah.
And so it does remind me that like, it's, screw it, keep moving forward.
Love it. Yeah, getting comfortable with discomfort is very, very important.
That's
For
right.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. What about you, Jason?
She said it all. I mean,
Yeah.
Love it. Well, as we look to wrap things up, if you could leave investors with 3 things to take away about your company, what would it be?
3 things. Growth. It's happening. It's already happened. It's happening.
Yep.
It's continuing to happen. Strength. We have a really, really strong team, and it's only getting stronger as the years go on. And we're thankful of our community. Yeah, I think those 3 things.
yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, for those listening who do want to learn more, you can do so at frontfundr.com/Sheringham Distillery. Encourage you to review all the campaign materials. There's a great video with Alayne and Jason, as well as that. There's some fantastic perks for interested investors as well. Alayne, Jason, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure learning more about your backgrounds and kind of the founding story behind Sheringham and what your future growth plans are. So really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate
thanks for all the wonderful questions.
For anyone new to the podcast, FrontFundr is Canada's leading equity crowdfunding platform, enabling all Canadians to invest in the most exciting startups and growth stage companies, something that was previously only available to the 1%. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter so you can have your questions answered in an upcoming episode. This podcast episode is for informational purposes only and should not constitute financial advice. Investors should conduct their own due diligence on any investment they may be considering on FrontFundr. For details of any offering listed on FrontFundr, refer to the offering document on their campaign page at www.frontfundr.com.